Never fear. Welcome, welcome to our very first free First Magic Monday experience. Did I say that right, Tom? Because I wasn't
I
thinking
think
about it
I
too
think
much.
we say it a little differently each time. Sometimes it's for free magic, but I think the Monday is always in there.
Okay, and magic too, I think. So welcome. And I wanted to share a little bit about why we're doing this. Now, I don't particularly give a lot of weight to my reasons for things anymore, because I just love doing things because they draw me, because they seem like the thing to do. And having a magical Monday experience with a group of beautiful humans sounds like a thing I want to do, first and foremost. So that's really it. But I do want to, I thought it would really be nice to start our week, start our month, start our lives, maybe start every moment with magic. And this is sort of an invitation to do that. And I also want you to have an experience of some of what Tom and I are cooking up inside the Play Circle, which is a monthly membership that we do. So like all of those things and more, but primarily because a magical Monday sounds like a fun way to spend my time. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, that's beautiful. And ever since you and I and others in the group have been playing together, the word magic has come up so many times. And to me, that's a word that you can hear and just kind of float on by. But as I was reflecting on it, like my life is magical. I mean, not so much always the story of my life. Like there are times in my life where I would say I did this and I backpacked through Ireland without a plan and very little money, and it was magical. And the way things turned out was magical. So that's one way of saying magic, but it's like we're made of magic in a way. Like if you just reflect a little bit on the wonder and awe and possibility of every moment in life and how much there is. And I think another thing we've been talking about this month is abundance and how abundant it is. And how, for me, when my thinking sort of settles down, when my stress or my, like everyone else, my anxiety and my negative thinking, just sort of naturally settles down, it can reveal this magic that seems like it's always just sitting there. And it doesn't require a special thing like backpacking through Ireland or meeting a special person, to feel that magic. And part of the thing we also wanted to do was, to have you all reflect on what magic is for you, what that word means to you. It can mean so many different things to different people. What does it mean for you and how do you experience it? And the possibility you can have it now.
Mm. So was that an invitation, Tom?
It sure is.
Yeah. So, yeah, what is magic for you? And I'd love for you to share that if you feel so moved. And I think just because I've got stuff pinned on the screen, it may be easiest if you can go down to your little reactions button and raise your hand, and then we can see you most clearly. What is magic? I see Michaela. Hi.
Hi. Nice to be here. Hello. I'm just going to say the first thing that kind of comes up and then we'll see where it goes. And magic to me is the unexpected. There's like effortlessness in that. It's delightful things happening, synchronicities, and all of those things that kind of make you go, how did that happen? And those are and then there's the magic of the things that we take for granted, that they just happen. And in a baby being conceived, however it happens, and that it's all of these things are happening behind the scenes, and we may have an understanding of, scientifically they've put a lot to it, but like, wow. So those things that just happen all the time, but there's just this incredible kind of, oh my gosh, look at that quality to it. That's a little bit about magic for me.
Mm.
And I love Harry Potter magic. Magic, actually, imagination. People's imagination in creating things in stories and like that's magical. Like, wow, where did all that come from? That's pretty cool.
Mm. Yeah, thanks, Michaela. You mentioned a few different flavors of magic, and as I was sort of reflecting on what it means to me, there was a time when the kind of magic I was most interested in was like the Harry Potter magic and imagination magic. And this was probably 5-6 years ago. And I was on fire with it. I was so in love with the magic that we create with our imagination and fantasy, and how real it is, how real it can be to enter into another world that you create. But over time, I still love that magic, by the way. I watch those shows on Netflix, The Magicians, and I just watched a series called Night Sky, and there's lots of like sci-fi magic in it, but I love the fantasy and dragons. I watched Merlin, I love that. But I sort of shifted without really trying to the more ordinary magic that you were talking about a bit, Michaela, the things that we don't usually think of as magic because they're so everyday. Because I think someone asked me this weekend about what that magic is. And I really looked to it, right? There's this cool thing that if you say, are you magic? Where is magic? You have to look for it to know that it's there. Like if I say, are you aware of your feet? You have to think about and bring your awareness to your feet. And so I'm going to say, like, where is magic? So that you bring your attention to it. Where is the magic in you? So that you bring your attention to the magic in you. Because it's that everyday magic that I'm more interested in these days. Because I had a story about specialness that, magic meant I was special being magic. And that's a nice story when I believed it. But when I didn't believe it, it was, oh, I'm supposed to be magic, but I'm not magic enough. But if I'm part of life magic, if I'm made of magic, the aliveness of the universe, what beats my heart and digests my food without me even needing to think about it, what allows us, the magic of technology that has somehow arisen to allow us to be here. And the magic I spoke about, and this is really magic. What Michaela said, the magic of imagination, what we create, we're doing it all the time. That here is this space of awareness, the space of consciousness that I call Stephanie, sometimes anyway, And that thought comes in and lights it up like a movie, like a magical screen, and creates what I see. Creates magic, creates an experience, brings it to life in a way that could not happen otherwise. Like I am experiencing the magic of each of you here because of that aliveness that I am and that we are. And it's mind-blowing and hard to talk about, but my God, that's so ordinary. We're doing it all day long, right? So I'm really curious, what is magic for Ian?
Well, I think you guys have kind of covered it already, really. Well, I'll put it a different way. Huge commonalities in both what Michaela and you were saying as well, Steph. That I've always grown up with a love of. Probably my first favorite book was Magician by Raymond Feast when I was a teenager. And Ursula Le Guin and these kinds of fantasy rather than sci-fi. But these days, it is the magic in everyday life, the ordinary things which I find extraordinary. It is the conception of a baby, the beating of a heart, breathing, what trees do. It's all that sort of stuff. And I do wonder as well if I see a difference between magic and miracles. And I'd be interested what others think about that as well. You know, because magic I do see as everywhere, all around. And I suppose, I mean, you know a bit about my background, Steph, with my coma experiences and so on, and some of the weird stuff I got into. But it's broken down the barriers between realities, and, you know, magic in another sense to me is just a word, because what's more magical than, as you were saying, you know, our consciousness, the power of thought, those glimpses for those of us that have been fortunate to tap into divine wisdom, universal mind, some kind of connectedness with God, whatever these things mean to people. That's pretty magical. That energy, that connection to that energy. And I see magic in the same way as when you dance or chop something in the kitchen or cast a spell as a magician. I think there's something about that flow of energy that I find very moving, seamless, universal, effortless, that just underpins our existence, I think. Everything is magic, you know, everything's a miracle as well in that sense. And yeah, the small little seemingly mundane things in life is where, when I'm really tuned in, when the magic is really at its best, it's just everywhere all the time. Until our thinking pops in a bit and, you know, the spell is broken temporarily. And then as if by magic, it reappears. It's that simple. So they say.
So you say that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. You know, I was, as people who know me, and if you don't know me, now you know I paint. And occasionally I've had the opportunity to like do little workshops. And one of the things that happens when we're either drawing or painting is I'll ask people to pay attention to like what's happening, like as they move their pen or their paintbrush across the paper or canvas. And there's this moment where if you pay attention to that, you forget that you sort of forget what you're doing. And it's like this color is just magically coming out of your paintbrush is what it looks like. It's like, wow, where's that coming from? And you just move it around and people get into this zone when they do that. And that's kind of like what I was relating to what you were saying, Ian. You're almost you're in it under a spell, a good spell. And it just, you see it in things that you just previously might have just taken for granted. Oh, I just have paint on my paintbrush and I'm just painting like I've done all my life. But no, it actually can look and feel. It's just amazing and magical.
It's funny, Tom, you bring up painting. I grew up and painting was something other people did. And 2 years ago, I took one of those leaps of faith and signed up for an art retreat. And it never happened because of COVID. But I joined an online art group, and much of my painting is just completely that. I put it this way often, the picture that wants to be painted gets painted. I don't set out, I'm going to draw a cat today, because that doesn't usually work so well.
Right.
But if I just go with the flow and I'm abstract, I create stuff, or often really crazy stuff happens. Like I sort of have to rotate the image 180 degrees to see the picture that's there. That's the magic. And the same with writing, actually. Some of the stuff I write sometimes, again, it's not automatic writing in that kind of sense, but it's not far off that. I just write what comes into my head and worry about it later. And yeah, that's the same flow I'm describing. That's the same movement of energy. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Most people, or many of us, have had an experience of that kind of magic of creativity in one or more areas, like painting or writing. For some people, it might be singing or performing. For some people, they might notice it when they're showing up as a coach or a healer and something seems to take over, and they discover it as it's happening through them. And I hear it as, I love this metaphor of us as God's paintbrush. And I'm using the word God here if you don't like it, spirit, source, the universe, whatever, but like we're not the ones doing it, but we get to be done through it. It does itself through us. It creates itself through us. And it's not only things that we typically think of as creative expressions that can be like that magical, but everything, when we show up as the magic we are, or we're always showing up as the magic we are, and we're not obstructing it with our thinking to the contrary, that it should be other than it is. That's what's happening. It's what's happening right now with us in this co-creation. And I can feel it. I can feel it happening. I want to share a story that a client shared with me this weekend, because it's pretty amazing. When she was young, she had a dream. She loved to sing. And she had a dream that she had written a song and she was hearing it on the radio. And she woke up, went to the piano and wrote the song. And at some point, now this over a period of years, things began to happen with that song. So she wrote this song and gave it to her brother, who happened to be a music producer. Then he happened to work it into one of his songs, her lyrics. And then a remix was made of it. And then someone else picked it up. And it was picked up by a band called the Ministry of Sound, I believe it's called. It's Ministry of Sound. And it was on the radio. Her song was on the radio years later. And I was just floored by that story. Because what started as a magical seed that dropped into her consciousness grew into something that she never could have made happen. None of that, she couldn't have constructed, she was a young girl. Could she have said, okay, I'm going to give this to my brother, and my brother's going to do this, and then they're going to do that, and it's going to get on the written? No, she just expressed it, and it just happened through the magic of creation that happens. But imagine this. What if she had that same dream and she never sat down at the piano and she never wrote the song? There's a co-creation. There's a way that we get to show up available to life to be used to create that magic, to discover what it is that wants to be created through us. And it's not through efforting, it's through following our own delight, our own curiosity. It's so simple. And we don't know where it's going to go. And the less I try to figure it out, the cleaner it shows up. You know, it might just have been that she sat down at the piano and she wrote a song that made her mother cry.
Mhm.
And that's just as beautiful. Isn't that a cool story?
Yeah, that's a great story. And it also strikes me like you could hear that story and maybe think back to a time that something similar happened, and then you didn't sit down at the piano and write it. And there can be kind of like a feeling of regret or missed opportunity. But the good news is, to me at least, there's always a new song coming. There's always a new painting. There's always a new thing to write. It's so, I mean, the creative power is beyond forgiving. It just gives and gives and gives and gives and gives. And it's always giving us another opportunity to listen and to put it in, put it into the world. But I love that story.
Yeah, I thought that too, Tom, as I was saying it, because I felt my own self go like, ooh. And that was the thought that, oh, what magic have I not allowed to be created through me? But it's always being created through me. And you're absolutely right. It's so abundant.
Yes.
It's never ending. The aliveness is abundant. And we can't mess that up. And we can't miss it. We can miss the experience of it if we're caught up, but we can't actually miss it.
Right. Yeah.
What are you seeing, Tom, about the abundance of magic and the magic of abundance? I want to hear you talk about that.
Yeah, I love that, because I mean, I think we just kind of covered the abundance of magic. But the feeling of abundance, whatever that means to you, I mean, that's kind of like in some circles that's kind of a buzzword these days.
Well,
But
what does it mean to you, Tom?
Yeah, I know. I did say, but one of the things that you and I are doing in this project, Steph, is we're reclaiming these words that have become buzzwords, and we're reinfusing them with life. So abundance is so easy for me to see, not if I'm thinking about money or that's fine, things that I have in my life, but I just look around my little space here, which that I live in. Most people might not say it's abundant, but it's everywhere. And it's not just my paintings, which 360 degrees, they're all around me. But then I look over at the little nightstand and I see a really beautiful vase with nothing in it. Maybe someday it'll magically sprout something, but in itself, it's beautiful. But then there's just next to it, there's a very ordinary glass that I fill up at night. So I have some water when I wake up at night. And they all have something about them. So it's like what I was talking about, getting into this zone as I paint, and when I paint with other people, there's a zone kind of you get into where you just see, wow, it's everywhere. It's the pattern on, you know, the bedspread, or, you know, the fleece that's just hanging limply on the chair over there. You start to see it everywhere. And I don't know why this popped into my mind, but there was a movie that was from the 90s. It was, and I'd love the movie, but every time I mention it to people, they tell me they hated it. But I think it was the first Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan movie before they did their series. And it's called something like Joe versus the Volcano, which is like one of the most awesome.
It's a great movie,
Oh,
Tom.
good. See, that's why we get along. So it's like highly recommended. It's just wonderful. But there's a moment in that movie where, and Meg Ryan plays several characters, which I didn't catch on to in the beginning. It was so well done. But she's talking to Tom Hanks and she's saying something like if we could really see what was happening right in front of us every moment, you know, without the filters of our thoughts, we would be walking around all day long in a sense of constant amazement. Now, we all feel that sometimes. We don't necessarily feel it as constant. That's, to me, that feeling when I heard that line. And you know how lines will stick with you for decades, but it really woke something up in me. It's like, yeah, that's true, and it's available, and it can like come over us at any moment. And it does, that sense of amazement. And it's not tied to, you know, the piece of art or the ordinary glass. It's like inherent in life and the way we experience it.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's so
Michelle,
beautiful.
I see you kind of nodding a little bit. Do you want to share anything about that? I'm sorry, I think I said your name wrong.
Oh, do you mean Michaela? Is that who
Nyla, sorry.
you're
And you had under your name the pronunciation right after it, and I missed it. but I was just curious. I saw you kind of nodding as we were talking, and I was wondering if you.
I have no idea what I was nodding about specifically.
Okay.
So I'm just taking it in. Sorry, I have nothing in the moment to add. And I thought you said Cheryl's name. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's fine.
I did too.
Yeah, so I was waiting till Cheryl
Okay.
unmuted and then you said mine.
Cheryl, you can say something too if you want.
Well, I also thought you said my name and I was like, wait, that wasn't me. And then I had to stop and regroup. But yeah, I you guys are covering beautifully everything that I've really been feeling and experiencing in my life for the past couple of years. It's almost like I woke up again, truly. To all the magic that has been there constantly, and where it used to come and go, it seems like now, like you guys are saying, it's just everywhere. It seems everywhere that consciousness meets any sort of action, there's your magic, there's your miracle. It's just, and in every single aspect. And for me, especially because of what I do, it's the miracle of our actual bodies here, you know, like all of this stuff that we're doing, all of these beautiful conversations and these immense ideas, they're all contained in this little bit of gray matter here. Like, it just blows my mind. It's like I'm Cheryl in this little container, and there's Tom and Stephanie and Michaela in their little containers, and you guys all have these huge, amazing, like endless visions and expressions and just, I don't know, to me that's just the magic of just being a human being walking around on this planet, spinning around in this space. Blows my mind continuously. So thanks.
Mm,
Nice.
beautiful.
That's why I like what Stephanie was saying. I mean, your description of co-creator is how I see this as being, because I can't possibly contain all of that in the little bit of grey matter that's stuck between my ears. And if I do, I think it would blow my mind. Or actually, what I think does happen, and my background is a psychiatry, is that sometimes people do get too huge an download of stuff they just cannot process, and it actually sends them mad. It floods them with stuff they just can't process, and they get lost and stuck in some crazy places. But as we're talking, sort of moving on a little more to abundance, I almost, for me, want to turn it on its head. Why would I not have abundance? You know, we're talking about the magic. That to me is now, it has been for a little while, the default. You know, this stuff is infinite. Yeah, I don't want to bottle too much of it up in my head, but as Michael reminded me, and Sid used to say, you know, I'm happy to keep filling myself up to overflowing, you know, and let that bubble out wherever it may go. Because again, as Steph was saying, you know, there are some people who create stuff, make stuff, write stuff, and they're terribly possessive of it. It's mine, look what I did. For me, the real joy is somebody then takes that and runs with it. You know, I've played my part in it, but what's the next person going to do with it? And the one after that? What's the ripple effect on the universe? You know, and that lights me up, you know. And that's why I love coming together like this, because the catalyst effect of brainstorming, is that still a PC concept? I don't think it is. I think you have to say thought showering these days.
I like wonder storming.
Yeah, wonder storm, magic storming.
I love that. And when I hear you speak, Ian, it's like something rises in me that says, what would we love to create together?
Yeah.
What would love to be created through us right now? What is joyfully being created? What magic is moving through us? And it doesn't feel to me like I have to know what that is or contain it or do anything with it, that just sort of bringing my attention to it a little bit, I start to feel it. And then from the feeling comes a movement. And maybe it's something that comes to me, occurs to me to say. It's just something I find myself saying. It's a thread that I find myself pulling. It's a game that we find ourselves playing. And we never had a thought for doing it. It just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have touched on that a little bit in the past. For me, what does the playground look like? You know, where are the kids gonna come and hang out and turn up and contribute and play and have fun and create together? You know, that's a world I want part of, rather than feeling sometimes a little bit like a lone wolf. I don't want to do this on my own. I want to be part of something, because it isn't 1 + 1 = 2, or, you know, 6 come together. The exponential effect, God only knows what it's to the power of, but it's profound.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Mine too.
Yeah.
The quote comes to me where, and this is from Christianity, but I'm taking it out of that context into the context of what we're talking about. Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together, you know, it's like we come together and it amplifies and broadcasts, and we reflect for each other and see the divine in each other and see the magic in each other and start bouncing it around. And then we play with it in the world of form. And we see what happens. And it could be conversations, or it could be pieces of art, it could be writing, it could be painting, it could be just enjoying each other.
I had a conversation with my stepfather about a week ago, who's a very interesting man. I don't see very often. And his guiding thing in life at the moment is the Course of Miracles, but he's very familiar with the principles, and he's a very well-read individual. And he and I didn't exactly disagree, but what he kind of was saying, oh, I'm withdrawing a little bit from this world. I'm not so interested in reading and listening to things anymore. It's all on the inside. You know, that's what it's all about. And I know what he means. But for me, I also live in the outside, you know, in form, in this world. And that's where a lot of the fun is. I don't want to live completely, whether it's in my head or in contemplation or meditation. I meditate a lot less than I used to 2 or 3 years ago. It's now just like occasionally, you know, I'll breathe a few times to ground myself or to remind myself about things. But I think, again, that getting the balance between the inside and the outside right. But my own, you know, walking my own path, my journey, and where you bump into other people on the road, that's where the fun is, I think. It's another way of putting it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you both have just said about collaborating and co-creating. For me, when I paint, I feel like a piece isn't really done until I've shared it with someone. Like that's like the final stroke is the sharing. And people, especially when something, this applies to everything, but especially when something it isn't trying to represent something in reality, it's color and shape and whatnot. People create their own painting when they look at it. So it's definitely a collaboration. And so, and then even what we're doing today is so much more fun. You know, Steph and I created this. We've both done some things. Stephanie, I think many things, much more than me. You know, presenting things to people, teaching classes, but it just takes it to another level and degree. The fact that we're doing this together, and then now all of you are here, and we're all doing this together. We're all creating this unique little space, meeting, get together, hang out that has never existed in the history of the universe, will never again quite this way. And it's yeah, that's that sense of amazement I was talking about earlier.
Mhm. I want to create some, it's occurring to me to create some space for Sabine to say something or share if they would like to. And there's no pressure to it all. I can't see, perhaps you're not even in a place where you can, but just so that you know you're welcome. And I'm wondering if you would like to, you meaning all of you, would like to play a little game with us.
Yes.
A 5-minute game. Okay, I'm seeing nods from those who are on screen, the nods. Okay. So this game is really simple. What I want you to do, I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. And I want you to create something, anything. So it doesn't have to be a painting, but it could be a painting. It could be a poem. It could be a paper airplane. It could be a cup of coffee, something that didn't exist before. And I'm going to play too. Are you going to play, Tom?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I may
So
disappear for a couple minutes.
everything counts. Everything and anything counts. So go. And I will let you know when we get to 5 minutes. Okay, my lovelies, our 5 minutes is up. Come back from your creative, magical, no, bring it with you, don't come back. Tom, I heard some clunking happening over there. What were you
Yeah.
doing? Oh my goodness.
Those were just a few feet from here where I paint.
So I'm really curious about two things. The first of all, if you want to share what you created, please do. But even more importantly, you don't have to share it. I want to know what you noticed about that. What did you notice about maybe magic or abundance or creativity or how you were showing up in it? Anything that you noticed, especially if it was surprising, interesting, or new.
Mm.
Who's got something? Cheryl, I see a smile and a hand.
Yeah. So as always, this morning when I got up, I was like, oh, I really want to start that art project. I've got the materials right there. I'll do it. And I was like, oh crap, no, I have that call right after work with Stephanie and those guys. Got to do some magic. So maybe I'll get to it afterwards. I was like, oh no, then I've got to do this. So it was like moving further down my time schedule. And then you're like, hey, go create something. So I got to start it. It just made me really happy. I was like, oh, I love it when magic happens like that. And here it is. It's a stick and bead and wire sculpture.
Whoa,
Ooh,
That's the beginning of it.
wow.
Yeah.
how cool is that?
So cool.
You know, I
pleased.
wonder how often life is inviting us to create something. Maybe only always. Certainly whenever it occurs to us. Mm. Tom, I want to see. Oh, Ian first, and then Tom. Yeah, Ian, go.
Okay, so I'll call it a poem.
Cool. I love poems.
It's given the time constraints, fairly free flowing, let's say. Magic everywhere. It flows through my veins. It makes my heart beat. The birds sing, the grass grow, the rain fall, the sun shine. Always there, infinite energy lighting my life, pointing the way. Sometimes my body aches. Why? Because it cares. It reminds me. It knows. It never lies. Always in the present moment. And remember to always have fun. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. I'd clear my diary for magic any day. I cheated and added an extra line at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
That,
cool.
that was actually, it occurred to me, what would be nicer than just doing magic all day, every day? Wouldn't life be good?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think so. That's beautiful.
That's great. And cheating is definitely encouraged.
Especially by Tom.
As Steph knows, that she pointed out last week that when we do these things, she likes to see that I seem to like to see what I can get away with.
So will you share what you created, Tom?
Yeah. And
And what you're seeing about it?
well, I was so delighted by Ian's poem. I knocked my little painting onto the floor and I watched as it floated, and I was wondering what side it was going to land on. Unfortunately, or not actually, it would have been okay either way, to tell you the truth. But I got really taken to start painting, which I love. I love when that happens. And the one thing I want to say about that is having things out, that are very accessible is really helpful, because that like Steph, when you were describing that person writing that song, you also have to have the piano or the paints available is really helpful. So I did a painting. Yes.
Ooh,
And as Ian said, I do the same thing, like, oh, actually, maybe that way, or maybe that way, or maybe that way. But as usual, when I paint, I very quickly got into it, and it's been, I don't know if, unless I've been like in a class, I've never done a painting where I knew as I started it that I was going to show it to someone immediately. And when you create things, you can start to have some thoughts about those. But the magic for me in the world of painting, those thoughts just clear out very quickly, and then I'm able to just start putting things down, and one thing leads to the other. And yeah, and I don't know if it's done, but I really like it. And so thank you, Stephanie, for the invitation, because if it wasn't for you and for this group, this particular painting wouldn't exist. So
cool. Did you notice anything about that stands out to you, Tom, about doing that?
Yeah. What I noticed was the absolute trust and delight that is, you might say, is magical in the process of when you sort of jump on that wave, is sometimes how it feels in painting. You just jump on the wave and you just ride it.
Yeah. How cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
And Michaela, did you want to share? Yes.
Well, this is cool. And your last turnabout, I saw a deer with his head down in the bottom right hand corner. That was very cool.
Cool. Thank you.
So I just got off a call with Michael Neal. So this is kind of coloring everything in how I had felt about like having the rug pulled out from under me and being like a dandelion seed, just floating and not having any grounded. And I really wanted to be the dandelion deeply rooted in, and because there's surety there, and yet it's hard and so this I've always wanted to do, and I've read about it like a few years ago about, I think it's called, actually, I don't know what it's called, but I believe it's like a Japanese poem writing. And it kind of seems random. I don't know, like it's been so long since I read about it, but I've been wanting to do that because I feel like my thoughts are random sometimes, or that they're not, because it's like one leads to the next. So I wrote 2 3/4. And I'm not even sure if this is how it's right, but that was the inspiration. So and just sharing some things that came up in this was, I didn't want things started to rhyme, and then I could feel me wanting to not have it rhyme. And not like, so I could see me interjecting to be more creative. It was just, so it was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. This is so interesting. And so the first one is, the frog hopped. The thought dropped. The bird flew. It all was new. Second one, paper abundance, ink bleeding, image appearing, captivated by another reality. And the third, the seed is blown, the face is touched, the tree sways. And then you brought us back.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm
Those are
sorry.
amazing.
Huh.
Yeah, they
I would be
feel amazing.
curious to understand that. Does it evoke something? I don't know, right? Have you ever coached someone, been with someone, and they're like, oh, and it's just like, I want in on it. What? What's coming? What are you getting? Come on.
Michaela,
It's so crazy.
you know what? Let that one sit and come back to it. Read it again tomorrow, maybe, and just see. Like, read it with fresh eyes and see what you see and feel what you feel. Because there's definitely something in that. At least in this moment of magic, I felt it. So cool.
That's so fun. Thank you for
Cool. Yeah. You know, I'll share a bit about what I did. The first thing that came to me, I thought of my brother.
Mm.
And so I wrote him a love text, just telling him how he's so magical and I love him. And then I sent another text, another love text to my dear friend. And then I had 2 minutes left. And I was like, okay, haiku, Michaela. So I wrote this one, very short. Rain on my doorstep, blade of grass bends in the wind. What is not magic? Right? I'm like, what do I notice about that? Like, I didn't have anything on any of that, although I did do a little bit of haiku 575. There's like a form to it. Like, how do I? And I was like, let's just see. Oh, I just have to remove the pronoun. I had a blade of grass and I had an extra syllable. Oh, okay. But it was fun. And the first impulse was overflowing love. I want to share it.
Yeah.
And that was so cool.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And I'm glad Sabine is here, and I take it that you're not able to or wanting to share with us in the moment. And that's okay, because you helped us create this simply by being here.
Yes. And also whoever's watching this on the recording
Yeah.
in time travel
Yes.
would we feel you here too.
Totally included. So I want to extend an invitation for you to two things. One, we have a community. It's called Wildspire Entrepreneurs. So it's not only for entrepreneurs, but that's kind of the gist. It's like people who are creating things inside of the world. Some of those things look like businesses, what we call businesses or services. And that's one thing. It's a free community, and we're going to be doing more events like this. You're more than welcome to come back for our next free First Monday Magic or first free Monday Magic or whatever it is we're calling it
next time.
And the second invitation is that the Play Circle membership, where we play inside of our businesses, where we play in creation. And sometimes we do little games or exercises like this, or we'll do exploratory conversations, and you're welcome to join there. And I'm happy to give you a free month to try it out and join us. So if you use the coupon code MAGIC at checkout, you can get a free month. And come join us, come play. We meet the first 4 Wednesdays of the month, and different time zones for different folks. And perhaps we will see you there. And if not, I hope we see you on the next first Monday.
Yeah. Thanks,
Any-
everybody. It's
Anything else, Tom?
No, it's just so amazing being with you all.
Yeah. Heart from Sabine. Heart right back to you.
Yeah, great.
Oh, Michaela's got something. Her hand's up.
Yes, so I just want to understand, because you talked about two things, but they both sound like they're about business or about playing with your business. What's the difference? And I thought you said the Play Circle was, I think Claire Downham
Yeah.
sent me a link to this a bit ago. Oh, okay, said you can try it out. I just haven't, it's just not been on my space. So up till now, maybe. So you said the first 4 Wednesdays of the month, but there's only one first, so
Oh,
it's
the-
like,
the-
is it
the-
every Wednesday? Or-
Four Wednesdays. I said the first 4 Wednesdays. First, second, third, and fourth Wednesdays. Sometimes there's a fifth.
Oh,
So on that extra
okay.
week, we're not meeting. So yes, that's what it means. And the difference
Okay.
between them, let's see, the community is free. There's a lot about creating in the world through business, but as Tom and I are exploring, it's sort of
Yeah.
shifting a wee bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the direction. It's very much about whatever we bring to it, whatever we co-create. But it is very much about creating in the world and having fun and being playful.
both of them, or which one are you talking
Yes,
about right
both.
now?
The community, but go check them out and you can always message me. Ask
Okay.
questions if you need anything and you'll know.
Okay.
If
all
you
right.
feel it,
So all
yes,
the
if you don't,
information is on there about, you know, the investment in Play Circle and Wild Spire Entrepreneurs.
yes.
So there are 2 groups.
It's the Wildspire Entrepreneurs is the community forum. So it's where we come together. It's a
Okay.
free space. The Play Circle is a premium membership. So there is a fee for the Play Circle. We also have a group inside the Wildspire Entrepreneurs community. If that makes sense. And there is description on each of those.
Okay,
So
cool.
they're separate, but they go together.
All right. I will check
There
them
are
out.
3 things. So there's a group inside the other one as well.
Yes.
It's like one of those magic things where you open it up and, oh, there's something else. And then-
A Russian doll? Is it a Russian doll?
And actually, we have more sort of groups and things that and classes and things that we're planning. So there's going to be a lot more stuff in there. So yeah, if you have any
Yes.
questions, just let us know.
Okay.
What's
Thank you
the
so
best
much.
way of touching base with you, Tom?
Yeah, well, we can connect. You can connect with me in the community or through staff. I'd love to actually talk with you a little more about personally, just about your painting and yeah.
I'll liaise through Steph and get you details and we'll make something happen.
Sounds
Yeah, that'd be
perfect.
great. Wonderful.
Thanks so much, guys. Beautiful seeing
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. It's been brilliant.
Oh,
This is great.